Hi! In today's video, we are going to be talking about infinitives and conjugation. I know that English grammar school was a very long time ago, and so it doesn't surprise me that maybe you don't remember what the word infinitive might mean. In Spanish, all of the verbs that you will see in your book are presented to you in the infinitive. That means to say that they are presented not conjugated. That sounds like a lot of complicated language, so what do I mean by that? What do I mean that a verb is in the infinitive? What do I mean that it's not conjugated? Well, when a verb is in the infinitive, it means that it is not expressing some kind of action, whether that be in the past, present, or future. When a verb is conjugated, it expresses or describes an action. That is to say, if I said to eat, I am not expressing any type of action. It is a stagnant verb. If, on the other hand, I say, Victor eats his burger and fries, then I am expressing an action. I'm expressing the action of Victor while he eats. This is the difference between an infinitive and a conjugated verb. In English, all of your infinitives have to in the front of them. To talk, to eat, to live. This indicates to us that the verb is unconjugated and therefore in the infinitive. In Spanish, on the other hand, verbs fall into three different categories, and they have either AR, ER, or IR. But you will notice that the verb is one word, as opposed to in English, where it is two separate words. In Spanish, when a verb is in the infinitive, it is all one word, and we know that it is in the infinitive and not conjugated because it has either an AR, an ER, or an IR on the end of it. So if a verb is in the infinitive and I want to express some kind of action and I don't know exactly how to do that, I would need to conjugate that verb. In order to conjugate a verb or to know whether a verb is conjugated, there is a twofold test to know whether it's conjugated. First, it has to have a speaker. That is to say, there needs to be an I, a we, a Victor, a he, a she, a they, someone who is doing the action. And there also has to be some kind of tense. That means that I have to either be in the past, the present, or the future. There are 4 steps that we can take in order to conjugate a verb from the infinitive into a verb tense, whether it be the past, the present, or the future. And that is, we will, step 1, drop the infinitive ending. So if we have, for example, the verb hablar, what that would look like is we would have the verb itself, and then we would drop the AR ending, like that, and we would just be left with the root of the verb. In Spanish, this portion of the verb is called the root or the stem. In Spanish, it's called the raíz, and the AR portion is called, in Spanish, the terminación. In English, it is called the ending. The ending will tell us what tense we are in, and the root generally remains the same. So first, we will want to find the speaker. If we had a sentence, we would know that the person who is the speaker is always the one doing the action, whether it be Beatrice, I, we, Victor, or whoever. That is the person that is doing the action. Then we want to find the ending in the present tense. In Spanish, as opposed to in English the verb will remain the same. I talk, I eat, I go, I do in the present tense. In Spanish, it's not like that at all. The ending will tell us where we are in time or what tense we are in. We'll go over this a little bit more when we talk about present tense AR, ER, and IR verbs. But from now, just know that we would then find something to put on the end of this in order for the verb to be conjugated. If we had, for example, Beatriz here, then we would know that we are in a third person singular, because that is what we learned when we learned personal pronouns, that it would fall into that category. And then we would find the ending that would be appropriate for a third person singular. In this case, it is A in the present tense. And that way, we would now have the verb conjugated, and it would be put all together, right? So it passes our twofold test because it has a speaker, Beatriz, and it is also in the present tense. This is how we go from an infinitive to a conjugated verb. Oftentimes, I see students write down on their piece of paper, hablar or vivir. They will write a verb back in its infinitive form. But when you're doing this, you're literally saying Victor to eat, Beatriz to talk. And you wouldn't do that in English, and you also wouldn't do it in Spanish. We will go over this more in class, but for now, it's good to be just familiar with this and the process by which we will go through it. And we will cover it again when we talk about regular present tense AR verbs. Thank you, and I'll see you in class.